as we've just been introduced, we are Round Midnight and BDH Immersive, and for the next hour, we're going to be talking to you about the power of VR in education. 2 years ago, we began the process of creating a brand new innovative VR experience that is now being delivered in schools all over the UK as an early intervention tool. We're going to chat about our journey, and as we get on, we'll talk about our experiences and how we feel that the world of opportunities has been opened up for us and young people through VR.
So I'm just going to do quick introductions, even though Lucy just said hi to all of us. But my name's Sami, and I'm the Development Manager of Round Midnight.
My name's Phil Hyde. I'm the Creative Manager at Round Midnight.
My name's John Durrant, and I've got really funny hair in that picture. I'm Creative Director at BDH, and we're a digital and visual effects house in Bristol. We've been going about 25 years, and I think we're going to show you some work in a bit so you can see what we do other than the VR.
Yeah, actually, I think it's important to know a little bit about Round Midnight and BDH, and what we do separately and why we brought our expertise together, and where we're at right now. So a little bit of background on Round Midnight. We are a creative arts company based in Birmingham. We specialise in theatre and drama in education. So that would be taking topical issues that affect young people and turning them into theatre performances or drama workshops, and engaging young people in conversations and important discussions around those issues. So issues that we've used in the past, maybe things like LGBT education, career options, aspirations, extremism, radicalisation, knife crime, things like that. So we use all of these topical issues through our theatre work. But our ethos of creating positive change using the arts has evolved over the past couple of years to include tech, and we began a successful partnership with BDH Immersive, and that's where I'll hand over to you, John.
Thanks. Yeah, let me pick up our showroom in a second. So BDH, as I was saying, there's a visual effects company, but we also do VR and AR apps. BDH have been going for about 25 years. There's about 15 in our design team. And I'd like to think of our team as a kind of special. When you visit our website on bdh.net, we're special because we're kind of visual storytellers. We basically control the remote control on your telly and basically stop you from turning over. So a lot of our work is quite fast, quite impulsive, but basically is aimed to capture your imagination. And we film and animate and edit and produce the work, and used on visual effects for television, things like BBC's Planet Earth, or immersive experiences for Facebook. So Phil, maybe if you wouldn't mind playing the video. Great, thanks, Phil. Yes, as you can see, there's a whole range of techniques that we get involved in, from filming or creating stuff that can't be filmed, and you generate it in a computer. But basically, meeting Round Midnight, which is an incredible privilege about their work they do in theatre and education. We brought our expertise together in a kind of unique interactive program that delivers real experiences for young people. A defining moment for me in VR was just when I realized it could be a shared experience. So many people talk about virtual reality as an isolating one, but actually I've designed experiences for 50 rooms of 50 people at a time. And the fact that it brings people together in a shared experience is a really valuable one, and a sort of knockout one, really. And VR has a power to place you at the core of the experience, and makes your sense of self can be somewhere else. And that's the kind of vital thing about it. You're actually transported, but your sense of self, your core, is transported by the technology. You'll often hear VR being isolating, but audiences can feel the effect of the outcomes and come out wanting to vocalize what they did. And this very thing about the fact that they did it and they felt like they'd experienced and they had agency in that experience, that's quite important. So in working with Round Midnight as a theatre and education experts, we basically pulled together an experience called Virtual Decisions that we're going to play your trailer, I think, now. So you can see this is the experience that we've been taking around. How many schools so far, Sami and Phil?
Oh, now you're asking a question, aren't you? A lot.
Over 1,000 young people have seen it so far. We know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, over 1,000 young people have seen it. I don't know exactly how many schools we've been to, but it's been a lot.
Thanks for putting us on the spot with that, John. That was great.
Oh, you go your numbers. That's all right. So what this basically is a trailer, just a short tease, just to show you how the feel of the experience and how it can the power of transportation for the individuals who are using it.
We ask you to do something, then you do it. You on board with that?
So that's where our journey ended up. But our journey began back in 2018, and with many conversations between BDH and Round Midnight about how we bring tech and theatre together, we applied for the Innovate UK Audience of the Future Fund, which we were successful for. And this was an R&D project which first researched what risk-taking behaviour meant to young people, and then looked at developing a prototype that would address this using VR. Now, the image that you see is a flowchart about the decisions that are made throughout the headset. So virtual decisions is different because you make decisions and that changes how the story plays out for you. So everybody's experience is completely different, completely unique to them. In fact, there's 3,456 different ways you can go through the experience. Now, it's only 8 minutes long, so that's a lot to pack in, but it means that it opens a dialogue for people afterwards who genuinely want to talk about what they've just experienced.
So we started our journey by conducting surveys, creative consultations, interviews with young people and teachers across the West Midlands. And the question we put forward to them was, what is risk-taking behaviour? I think in early discussions, we all had preconceptions to what the answer of this question would be. And we thought that young people would talk about risk in terms of underage drinking and making judgments under the influence of alcohol, substance misuse or unprotected sex, those kind of issues that adolescents usually face. But what we were faced with were responses that actually really, really surprised us. Many of the young people that we researched with, and that's over 1,200 young people, many of them said that they were worried about things as simple as walking down the street, looking at somebody the wrong way, walking past a group of young people that they don't know, getting into altercations with other young people at school or outside of school, And then the responses became a little bit more extreme when they started talking about knives. They felt that they might be under pressure to carry knives, or they might be faced with a knife. So this got us to looking at knife crime and gang culture, and we realised quite quickly that this is a subject that really, really needs more focus.
So through the research and development phase, we had the pleasure of working with researcher Stephanie Burnett-Hayes, Dr. Stephanie Burnett-Hayes, from the University of Birmingham, who specialises in the workings of the adolescent brain. Stephanie worked with Round Midnight in the creation of the script to help shape the story, to make sure that all the research that was involved from the young people, from what Sami mentioned earlier, was involved in the storyline, and also that traits from the research of characters was involved in building this little world, to give it a familiar and a realistic representation. So we're going to hear from Stephanie now. This was filmed on the filming day of Virtual Decisions, and she's talking about the authenticity of the programme and how important that is. So let's just have a listen to what she's got to say.
I think the main value of something like this is so virtual reality is used in science experiments, but I think because it's developed with creatives, like a theatre company, it'll be just so much more authentic. So often lab experiments are really contrived and they don't really feel real. They don't look very nice as well. But this will look really good and feel really authentic. So I think it will just, it takes the game up a level in terms of seeing how, trying to get people's authentic reactions to these situations.
So it's over to me now. I think I'm going to talk a little bit about the filming and the coding. There's a couple of pictures there, and you've got James at BDH with Phil making decisions about the layout and decision-making tree and so on that we saw earlier in the diagram, and just working through how many layers and what the sort of routes will be through it. So that'll be coded and put into Unity, which will be the virtual reality game engine that will drive the software on the headset. And then on the right hand side is a views camera, which is a stereo camera, which means that you have depth to your picture, so things in the foreground are out of focus or kind of pass in front of you, and they've got things in mid foreground and then background, so you've got depth to it. And the top of that lens there's two lenses, which means that we capture a 180 image, which is half normal vision, as it were, without having to turn around. And it meant that as a crew, there was about 20 of us behind the camera, but calling the shots and so on, making sure the scripting was working. But you can see Joe there with a big smile on his face. He was being basically abused by a selection of fine acting from what's the theatre group called that we used?
It's our youth theatre. It's Raw Talent Youth Theatre. So we use young actors. Really excellent people, and really powerful. And to be honest, when one of those actors gets you in their gaze, you listen. And basically, what Joe had to do was he had to be us, and so the actors acted at him, and he had to react to them. So he was a reactor in effect. And Mark on the right, he's the professional cameraman that made sure that everything was in focus and captured and brilliantly composed. And so the importance of having the actor there was basically because having a person there means that these actors are basically acting at you. So getting authentic responses, and there's some feedback from the audience that they're acting to, which is quite rare in television, but we felt that it kind of delivered quite an effective performance overall. And so what we're sort of describing is that the VR experience is coded on the left, the decisions are made and drafted and then made for real on the left, and the film taken on the right is captured and then dropped into in the computing and the coding on the left. And so basically that's behind the scenes. And once this prototype was made, we then went and delivered this to 10 secondary schools across the West Midlands, mainly researching with or trying the experience out with the young people that we'd done the initial research with. So it was great for them that they had input into our final product. All the information they gave us, all of the research that we did that contributed to virtual decisions. So they got to see that firsthand. It was brilliant. But one of the main things that this trial showed us is how impactful VR in education is, particularly when addressing challenging subjects. So the prototype that we trialed for a couple of weeks back in March last year has now become a program in its own right. And since its launch, it's been delivered to thousands of young people across England, including areas in the West Midlands, Manchester, Worcestershire, Hammersmith and Fulham, all over the place. Young people, you can see some of these photos here, that young people absolutely love the experience. And that experience starts from the moment that they enter the classroom. They walk in, they see VR headsets, they are excited, they can't wait to engage, they can't wait to get involved. And Round Midnight, we are experts in working with young people and getting them to open up, and we're great at engaging with them. So the VR is just a brilliant tool to help that along. So they tried VR, and once they step out of the VR, something that we didn't anticipate is how the high levels of engagement will continue throughout the workshop, because they're watching something that is so exciting and engaging and relatable. They're seeing these characters that they recognize. They want to talk about it. They want to share their experiences. Yes, please do, John.
Sami, can I make a point?
Yes, please do.
Just the idea that I think a lot of technologists, perhaps, and commissioners of these things think that the commissioning a piece of digital technology and an experience is the final full stop on what they've done. They've delivered something. And actually what we found is that this is a piece in a puzzle. This is part of a whole workshop, which is integrated and very carefully put together. It's a spring. The virtual decisions is a springboard. It isn't the whole thing. It's a springboard.
It's a stimulus. It's a stimulus for these discussions, because the discussions that do take place afterwards they're long, they're insightful, they're fascinating, and we talk to these young people who, most of these thousands of young people that we've worked with, we've never met before. And in this hour-long workshop, we can get them to share their experiences and talk to us about such important topics that are affecting them day to day, whether that is subjects that are as serious as knife crime and gang culture, but even things just as positive role models or decision making, peer pressure, some things that all young people face at one point or another.
I interrupt again.
Yes, yeah, please do.
It's just as I'm listening to you there, I'm kind of visualizing it all. And in effect, what's happened is that you've added the VR experience to a very, very effective workshop already. But one of the challenges you were having was getting engagement and the energy that you wanted from the young people. And this has been really a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. In terms of engagement, it's unlike anything I've ever worked with before. The young people recognise it because it's technology, it's new and exciting, but then there's the added value of when they put it on, they are immersed into something that they can relate with, and it starts a conversation as Sam said, on so many different levels, and it can be used in so many different ways. One of the things that we didn't anticipate is the amount of different ways it can be used as a tool. And we always say that the virtual decisions is very important, but the conversation that takes place afterwards, you can't put a price on, because it literally differs and everybody gets something from it. Everybody.
Mm-hmm. Let's have a look at the pupil responses, Phil. Have we got some pupil responses? So this is a response from a Year 9 pupil that we worked in their school last year, and they said, it teaches you a life lesson. You're not just reading about it or listening to someone talk about it. You're living it. You're actually there. You can't teach that. Another response, going through the piece of VR lets us talk about our own experiences and our own opinions. That's why it's so engaging. It's about us. And these are just a few quotes that we've taken from thousands of young people. We also encourage the staff at the school to try the VR experience as well. We think it's really important that they get involved. So this is a couple of quotes taken from staff members. These issues are real. They are impacting on our children, and I am so thankful that the children had an opportunity to explore them in a safe environment. Today, you have worked with some of the most vulnerable young people in our school. You have made them feel like their opinion matters, their life matters, and what is going on with them outside of school is worth bothering about. That has been incredibly powerful.
Now, in the last year and a half, delivering virtual decisions, and the workshop and the aim of it has changed slightly. It's evolved. We originally thought of it as a early intervention tool, which it very much is, and can still be used to stop young people getting involved in criminal activity. But we recognise that it can identify the support that young people need. The great thing about this programme is it's child-centred. It's centred around them. It's centred about what they want to talk about. The young people that we work with recently have mostly been part of pupil referral units, which is alternative education provision, and also part of probation with YOTS, which is the youth offending team. Now, these are quite challenging young people and quite hard to get on board. The thing about this is we go in for an hour and a half, depending on which session we're doing, and we get these young people to open up about things that they haven't even opened up to the members of staff that they've been working with for a long time. It gives us an opportunity to see what support they need, and I don't just mean as in talking, I mean additional support. We work with West Midlands Police quite a lot, and through the pupil referral units, through conversations we had with the young people there, we were able to offer diversionary activities for these young people that they didn't even know were available to them. One young person, this was quite an extreme case, they openly admitted they don't see themselves living past the age of 18 due to the criminal activity they were involved in. Now, as an arts worker who's been doing this for about 15 years, that's quite upsetting, and you want to prove them wrong. So you look for additional support, you look for how you can help these people, and through this 1 hour workshop, we're able to identify that, and we're able to give them mentoring support that was funded by West Midlands Police. These are the changes that can be made, and they're life-changing changes. These young people have so much potential, and they need to be given the opportunity to demonstrate that. And this highlights how we can support young people achieve that potential. So what you're going to see now is a short 6-minute documentary about virtual decisions entitled VR versus Gangs, which was featured on Channel 4 last year.
Well, London is not the only city trying to tackle a surge in violent crime. There's been a sharp increase in knife-related offences in the West Midlands, where deaths among young people are at their highest for 40 years. But there are some radical new approaches to the problem. We've been to see a new interactive virtual reality experience launched by a Birmingham-based theatre company designed to help young people explore issues like knife crime, drugs, gangs, and learn from the decisions they make.
It is scary to think that there are kids just walking around with knives in their back pocket.
It's happening everywhere now. Unfortunately, I have a relative that has been stabbed. It's just literally over little things like, hanging around with different people and disagreements and just little things that really build bigger problems in life that, you regret later on.
I know kids who've been kicked out of my school who I see about, if they kept going on like that, they could definitely get involved in gangs.
In 2018, West Midlands, knife crime hit a record high. We saw that and we wanted to try a different approach.
Virtual decision, slate 9, take 1. Why are you doing this?
We're here today shooting Virtual Decisions, a VR in education piece with young people from the Birmingham area.
We're all friends, we've all known each other for quite a while. It's really local, isn't it? For this project, we're a gang, not really a good gang.
You're going to stand there all day?
As the viewer, you're asked whether you want to join in with the gang. And when they start beating up a passing by kid, you decide whether you're going to join in or stand up for what's right. It's a virtual experience using virtual reality to explore peer pressure, knife crime, and risk-taking behaviour. They're difficult conversations to have. They're difficult conversations to start.
You're going to have to prove yourself.
We workshop it all at the end. Pop your headsets on, guys, if you want. Okay. And I'll come around and help you. You can talk about your experience and how it made you feel.
You're going to be part of us. You're going to have to prove yourself.
So if we ask you to do something, then you do it. No questions asked.
You on board with that? Good. You look after us, we'll look after you.
People in the same room won't watch the same thing.
Look, I know you're new around here, but you follow our lead. Time to make a choice. What are you going to do?
In class, it's like you're sort of being told what to think instead of like actually experiencing it. If they live in it, like with the VR, they'll want to not do it because they'll find out the outcome of what will happen.
It's like a dream, like, but you can control it.
Yeah. Well, it's quite. Well, it's. You do feel quite intimidated. You do feel, really quite immersed in it, and it does make you feel quite under pressure. I'm quite surprised about the way that I felt, actually, because at times I was a bit like, well, hang on a minute, this is quite scary. It feels very, very real. Without actually experiencing that in the real world, you're not going to know how you're going to deal with it.
They're used to an education where there is a right answer. There is no right answer to this. Having this experience is just about opening a dialogue.
We don't get enough time to learn about the outside world, I guess, and what's out there and the dangers.
Someone in a gang won't be inspired by this to stop. A child in a school who might know people who are in gangs, who might be thinking of joining one, if they saw this, it won't tackle it at the moment, but it can prevent it.
They need to warn them and show them more. If they was in that situation, what options have they got?
No one person or group of people has all the answers. What's beautiful about a project like this is you're having collaboration between teachers, between filmmakers, between computer designers, theatre company. They have come together, and we need all the help that we can get, and we should care. This is our problem, as a community, as a society, and it's our responsibility.
Well, as somebody who's a former teacher, I think this is a very, very powerful tool. Using that technology gives the ability to not just to watch, but you actually interact by making decisions, and you can see what the result of the decision is and actually think about those problems of violence.
People think it's cooler to be mean to others instead of just doing what you want and being nice to them.
No one's born bad. I think it's in human nature not to harm another human, so you have to be extremely pressured to do such a thing.
You can understand it, you can determine, wait, hold on, this isn't for me, and this can help you to experience it without physically experiencing it. It's something that I can just walk away from at the end of the day.
Even if we're good people, we can still make bad decisions to protect ourselves. When you've got those split seconds to decide, when it feels so real, would I?
I forgot how good that was. It's really good.
It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good.
Really impressive.
Yeah, that was featured on Channel 4 News last June, I think it was. but yeah, it gives a really good insight to what's in the program, how young people feel about it, how teachers feel about it as well. But since our trial last year and since the documentary went out, we've had a lot of recognition, a lot of funding, a lot of endorsements. So you can see some of the logos of organisations that we've worked with over the past year and a half. So we've got there the West Midlands Police, we've got Manchester Magistrates Association, Probation Services, Violence Reduction Unit, Youth Offending Teams, Support Services. It's ongoing, and we're constantly in touch with new people, new organisations across the country who really want to use our VR in Education programme in the work that they do with young people. And it is just such a brilliant tool to reach those young people that are at risk of criminal exploitation. The funding that we've received has also allowed us to expand our programme. So we're now looking into creating additional films using the characters that we've built into what we call our virtual decisions universe. So some of the characters you saw speaking there in our documentary. So we're looking at creating additional films. We've got additional teacher resources. We can offer teacher training, workshops with parents as well to bridge that generational gap between adults and young people. I think it's really hard for a lot of adults nowadays to understand what it's like to be a child in 2020, especially with social media and the new kinds of pressures that they're facing. We've got here another clip that we wanted to share with you. This is a deputy head of a Coventry secondary school, and this is his first response after taking the headset off, and just we just really like his reaction, so we wanted to share that with you.
Sorry.
Is that playing, Phil? All right.
That's awesome. That is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Why is it good?
Just you're there. You're in it. You're literally there. You are in what's going on. It is. You're part of it. Yeah, it's horrible for me to watch that. Watch the lads jump on him and then watch the old guy get shoved over and stuff. Horrible for me to watch that, but I'm an adult, you know. That's brilliant. That has got so much potential, hasn't it, to really engage with kids. Has so much, going for it, and the options available to you, and how I could see it'd be really hard to actually put it all together and get it going. I think, that was great. That was oof. That's an experience. It's fantastic. Honestly, Phil, you've got something there. That's brilliant.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, that was really. It's really interesting seeing a professional who's immersed in that sort of world all the time, feeling that he's seen it for the first time and experiencing it, and being intimidated as a teacher. I mean, that's just amazing. Anyway, we think we've coined a new phrase, or at least it's our phrase that we're using. It's it's knowledge through experience, and basically these young people are experiencing the world and gaining knowledge without being lectured at. Young people gain knowledge through having agency in the experience, which builds muscle memory. So they'll have be able to react to things instinctively if they come across the same thing again, and maybe they'll make different decisions according to the way that they behaved virtually, and maybe they'll make a decision that they didn't do virtually because they've learned that are the results of that. Importantly, the experience and the immersive experience isn't a lecture. Our experience is intimate, and the actors talk directly to you, engage with you directly, and ask you questions. People are engaged straight away, as it's fun and a modern way of learning. One of the kids, I think, one of the quotes is, "This is better than school." I love that. This is better than school. Because they come into a room and there they are, the headsets, and then they get transported to this world and where they're actually really active in, and that there's something rather radical, which is that there are no answers. There are no right answers in this. Which, Sami, maybe you could explain a little bit more about the revolutionary idea about schooling, how answers.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that Phil and I, as facilitators, it's something that we start all of our virtual decision sessions with. We make sure that we say to the young people that are about to try the experience, there are no right or wrong answers. So when you go through the experience, feel free to choose whatever option you want, whether you feel that that is deemed as a bad choice to make, or whether you think it is a good choice to make. It is your time in the VR that's important. And this is a safe space for them to practice and a safe space for them to explore. We would much prefer young people to try the VR and make mistakes so that we can then talk about it, analyze the decisions, look at the consequences and the repercussions, the ripple effect of that, rather than them do it in real life. So that's why we actively say there are no right or wrong answers.
So we're giving them an opportunity to explore in a safe space and make mistakes and analyze and learn from their own mistakes, exploring all the repercussions and their possible consequences. So making it about them allows young people to open up about their thoughts and feelings, which is actually what we really want. And so it doesn't patronize it, it doesn't judge, and there are no right answers. So we should talk about how we're expanding this and joining it into the virtual decisions program into something we're calling Link Up. And basically, we're trying to link lots of schools in these COVID times and deliver experiences remotely. We're basically, we want to create experiences in other iterations of virtual decisions, which look at education in mental health and well-being. We know we had to push forward and find alternative digital solutions because we have challenges in going to schools now and all that sort of thing. We want to be able to contact them remotely. So the idea for Link Up was born, currently in development. Link Up will be an online tool for teachers to use in their PSHE lessons. And maybe if somebody could tell me what a PSHE is, I think I know what it is.
Personal, social, health and economic education.
Cool. And to complement, and then it's actually part of the current school curriculum as well, isn't it? That it's by law, schools have to deliver this PSHE subject.
As of this September, isn't it, Phil?
As of, well, it's supposed to be this September, but then that thing that we don't want to talk about anymore happened, and it's been pushed back to September 2021, that RSE, which is relationship and sex education, will become compulsory. But PSHE ties into those, and there's a lot of overlapping themes. So essentially, a lot of the work that we will be doing and portraying will be compulsory. So we are currently using the prototype that we're to create the prototype. We're using the virtual decisions film within the Link Up program, which is being developed over the next few months. And if this proves successful, which we hope it will be, we'll be looking at creating new films and digital workshops on a number of different subject areas that include, as John said, mental health and well-being, extremism and radicalisation, career options, aspirations, cyberbullying, online bullying, healthy eating, all sorts of things.
Can I make one more point? Can I make one more point, Phil? Can I make one more point, Phil? Because through the use of these interactive films and the live remote facilitators, we're going to use voting systems and live discussions and so on. So people across the country and indeed anywhere in the world could join the program. So it's going to be quite kind of interesting as we roll it out. Because first, to remotely joining schools together or joining just joining one remote school, we can actually join schools from around the world as well. So it's going to be a really interesting dynamic journey.
Yep, and we are hoping to trial this between November and February. So please do keep a lookout on both the Round Midnight and BDH websites to find out more about virtual decisions and just to see where our progress is with Link Up. We're really excited about our new program and continuing our VR work as well, which we are doing. Fortunately, even through COVID and through the measures that schools have in place, we are currently reaching schools and thousands more young people. So we've got our email addresses there and our website addresses. So please get in touch if you'd like to know anything else about virtual decisions or Link Up, or if you'd just like to get in touch for a chat, we'd be more than happy to talk with you.